Welcome to Chapter 2 of Frankenstein. If you're watching this to relax, odds are you like animals and dead stuff, meaning our coloring book, Animals and Sugar Skulls, is perfect for you. It's only available on eBay because Amazon said 2 covers was impossible. Click the link to get yours now.
Sometimes people will ask me about my childhood, or some other dumb stuff like, what would my mom think about what I'm doing right now? Idiots. Well, whenever I get a question like this, I always answer the same way, and tell them I didn't get enough love as a child. That way, it explains all the terrible things that I'm doing, and people don't stop me because they feel bad. But is there any truth to that? Not the part about my mom. My mom was a saint. But the part about parents being responsible for the people their children grow up to be. In Chapter 2, Victor Frankenstein tells us about how he grew up.
My name is Victor Frankenstein. My family is from Geneva, Switzerland, where my father was a respected government official. My parents moved to Italy for a few years after they married. I, the eldest, was born in Naples. When I was about 5 years old, we spent a week at Lake Como in northern Italy. My mother always liked to help people in need. One day, my mother and I visited a poor cottage. A peasant and his wife lived there with 5 hungry children. One of the 5 did not look like the others. She was much more fair and thin. Her hair was the brightest gold. She had clear blue eyes. Her lips and the shape of her face were sweet. She seemed almost heaven-sent. The peasant woman explained that the little girl was not her own child, but an orphan. Her father was a wealthy Italian. No one knew where he was, or even if he was still alive. Her mother, who had died during childbirth, was German. The poor child had become a beggar. The peasants had taken her into their humble cottage, where she had bloomed like a rose. When my father came home, he was surprised to find me playing with the little girl. With his permission, my mother asked to adopt her. The peasants knew she would have a better life with my family, and so, Elizabeth became a member of my parents' house. I was glad that everyone loved Elizabeth. On the evening before she was brought to my home, my mother said playfully, "I have a pretty present for my Victor. Tomorrow, he will have it." When she presented Elizabeth to me, I took her words very seriously. Elizabeth was mine to protect, love, and treasure. Until death, she was to be mine only. We were brought up together, for we were only a year apart. We had different natures, but we loved each other. Elizabeth was calmer than I was. She loved to read poetry. She loved the shapes of the mountains and the changes of the seasons. She was happy just to enjoy life. I wanted to know what caused life, the how and why of everything. To me, the world was a secret to be discovered. I wanted to uncover the hidden laws of nature. When I was 7, my brother Ernest was born, and we settled in Switzerland, our home country. We owned a house in Geneva, but we lived mainly in a country estate on Lake Bellerive. It was located about 3 miles from Geneva. My best friend was Henry Clerval, the son of a businessman. He loved adventure, hard work, and even danger. He would tell me of books he'd read about bravery and romance. He wrote songs and stories about knightly adventures. 2 important things happened during my childhood that put me on the road to destruction. The first happened when I was 13. We all went on vacation to France. At an inn there, I found a book about alchemy. This is the name of an ancient science. Alchemists believed it was possible to make people live forever. They also believed that they could bring people back from the dead. This book fascinated me. I told my father about the book, but he called it sad trash. I did not know then that modern science had proven these theories wrong. No one believed you could bring people back from the dead, but my father didn't explain these things. I found more books by other alchemists and read them all with wonder and delight. My studies gave me many great ideas. What if I could prevent the human body from becoming sick? What if I could make people safe from death? And these were not my only dreams. I dreamed of contacting ghosts or devils. The alchemists believed it was possible. The second thing that changed the course of my life happened when I was about 15. We were at our house in Belle Rive, and, as it happened, a scientist was staying there with us. One night, there was a violent thunderstorm. I watched the storm from the door as a bolt of lightning struck a tree near the house and burst into flames. The next morning, we went to look at the tree. It wasn't splintered. It had almost exploded. All that was left were thin ribbons of wood. The scientist explained to me about the power of electricity. This man's theories made me even more curious and gave me fantastic ideas. It was also about this time that a wonderful event blessed my family. My mother gave birth to another son, who was named William. When I was 17, my parents decided that I should go to the University of Ingolstadt in Germany. But before I could go, the first great sadness came to my life. It was a sign of my future misery. Elizabeth had caught scarlet fever and was close to death. My mother wanted to be the one to nurse Elizabeth back to health. When we told her it was too dangerous, she did not listen. Elizabeth got well again, but 3 days later, my mother was ill. She did not recover. We mourned my mother's death for quite a long time. Finally, the time came for me to leave for the university. Henry spent the last evening with us. His father would not let him attend school with me. We stayed up late like young schoolboys, not wanting to say the word farewell. The next day, I sadly left my home. I promised my dear Elizabeth that I would write often.
Victor's mom passed away, so I hope all those therapists that are always blaming the parents feel like...
So for years, if you've been around that long, you've heard me tell you guys to take good care of yourselves and that you're important. And you've watched me do all kinds of really silly things to try and get a laugh from you.
There's drugs in the candy now?
The goal has always been to diffuse tension. That is the dogs. With the intention of that helping heal some of the damage that you are undoubtedly experiencing throughout the week. And now I have something to share with you that I've made special for this. These jewelry pieces are crafted using information from different fields I've studied since 2016. Things like nutritional response testing or Dr. Bradley Nelson's work on healing emotions. So, I've used a radionics machine to infuse these minerals or gemstones or stones with frequencies. So you can always have something on you that's putting out good vibes. I created these with the very same care and dedication that I bring to every upload and to every time I think about the community that we have on Super Horror Show. The listing on eBay actually includes my process for making these, because anybody can say whatever. I could find a rock right now and say, oh look, I made this into magic. And I guess at that point people just choose to take some people's words for that sort of thing. Not this time. My process is actually spelled out on eBay. If you know someone that does emotional work or anything in the bioenergetics field, show them my listing. These are the most scientifically backed piece of frequency jewelry available today, as far as I know. I've looked up a bunch of other websites and I've not seen anybody put out anywhere near the amount of research that I have. So, click the link, read about the process, and decide. Maybe it's for you.
That's it until Chapter 3, when Victor Frankenstein goes to school. I guess at that point we could blame the teachers for his problems? That way he won't have to accept any personal responsibility. So until next time, Super Horror family, make sure you take good care of yourself, because you're important. And remember, raising children can be a monstrous challenge.